Welcome to CineMyles, the show for cinephiles. I'm your host, Miles Hughes. I'm joined tonight by my brother Sam and my dad Jim. And we just saw Ghost in the Shell, which is an adaptation of one of the only 5 anime films I actually enjoy. Honestly, I enjoyed this film a lot more than I was expecting to. The reviews haven't been great, and the whitewashing controversy is troubling. But as a standalone sci-fi action movie, I think it delivers. The action is well staged. The visuals are gorgeous. And all the sci-fi technology on display is just constantly appealing to the eyes. And there are issues with the story and with the characters, but I was able to sort of turn my brain off and enjoy it.
I guess it probably met my expectations. I didn't have very high hopes for it. It was visually stunning. There's, great action scenes. I really liked the futuristic technology that they incorporated. I thought it was really interesting, but they did make a lot of those very, beautiful shots that probably took a lot of time and effort, but I think they kind of jeopardized the story.
It's interesting. I remember going to see Blade Runner when it first came out in like 1982, I think, and it had a lot of the same sort of aesthetic as Blade Runner, and it was in similar story, robots and so forth gone amok. I thought it was good. It was visually stunning, as you said. I think the plot was a little weak. It was a little slow. For a movie that's all about a soul in a machine, the sort of movie lacked a lot of soul.
Yeah.
The other thing I have a problem with sometimes is Scarlett Johansson is this sort of action hero. When she's in the center of a group, she looks so petite and small, it's hard to take her seriously in that role. When her camera's right on her face, you can see the intensity.
Scarlett sort of has a double-edged sword, because you can obviously tell that they cast her because she's what you would consider a bankable action star.
She's a big star.
In the same way that someone like Charlize Theron is now. Like, you can trust her to lead an action movie and to sell tickets to an action movie. We might as well dive headlong into this. So the whitewashing controversy is that this is an Asian character that has been made white. Well, it turns out, without giving too much away, that they somehow built the whitewashing into the plot. And it's kind of disturbing and troubling and tone-deaf in this day and age. And I'm not entirely sure how they didn't catch that. It would have been so simple to do some reshoots to fix that, especially once the controversy started coming out. But they kept with it, and I think that was a kind of boneheaded decision. She does justify her casting as far as her performance goes. Like, I feel like they modulated her voice a little bit. And some of her movements are just stiff enough without being distracting.
No.
Although I thought she acted, if you saw the movie Lucy that she was in, she carried herself almost in the same way. It's like a combination of the Avengers and Lucy.
Right, yeah.
Is her performance.
If you combine humans and machines, then where does the line of humanity sort of start to blur? And, we've explored that theme in a number of other science fiction films. This film kind of more pays it lip service than really dives into it.
I mean, it's basically an anti-technology story, although the filmmakers do a lot to show off a lot of the cool technology.
It's such a cool concept, and there are so many cool things to look at, and they show it off, very well, but I feel like they just really lacked in moving the story along. You don't get a sense of an origin story. It's very simple, oh, this is the steps, this is what happened, now here we are. And given it is an action movie, it's not going to be necessarily driven on plot. I just feel like it was kind of a hang-up for me. I was trying to, the action scenes were great.
There was a scene with her mother, to not give too much away, where there was a little bit of heart, but it was just a small section of the movie, and there was a scene in the water with one of her colleagues, and there was 2 scenes where there was a little bit of heart, but they really, a lot of it was sort of walking around in dark places waiting for something to shoot.
One of the most interesting casting choices is Takeshi Kitano, who is a big director in Japan. Here plays the police chief character who exclusively speaks in Japanese, despite the fact that everyone else around him speaks English.
Yeah.
One of those weird movie things that I hate, where one character insists on speaking a certain language, but everyone else speaks their normal language and almost pretends like he's not.
Yeah, it's if you're set there, either go all in or don't.
Right, either have the other characters speak Japanese to him, or force him to learn English.
Yeah.
You know, one or the other. But the fact that it was so consistently, no, he's only going to speak Japanese, like, it could have been a weird, like, quirky character trait, but they didn't do anything with it. It was just distracting.
There were still just, some of those little, like, action movie cliches, things that don't make sense if you were in that situation. It wouldn't, it's only for dramatic effect. And I guess that kind of stuff bugs me when they try to make it real and gritty, but still have these kind of, like...
These really contrived sort of plot things. Yeah, I agree. Would you recommend this film?
Maybe not in theaters. I'd say get around to seeing it, but not necessarily go see this now.
I enjoyed it. We saw it in IMAX 3D. I'm glad we saw it. I would recommend it.
Yeah, I would too. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. For all its shortcomings, it's never boring. It's a little slow-paced at times, but there's always something interesting to look at, and I could definitely see myself rewatching it just to sort of drink in the visuals and enjoy all the little details that are sort of hidden in the frame. I'm sure there are a lot of Easter eggs for fans of the original. But yes, I would recommend it. Maybe not need to see it in theaters, but if you're deciding between it and, say, Power Rangers, you could do a lot worse. All right, so that's our thoughts on Ghost in the Shell. Check it out or don't. Thank you for watching CineMyles. Be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, do all those fun things. Thank you, Dad and Sam, for joining me. And we will catch you on the flip side. Have a good night.